Hello and welcome to Stark's virtual art room. My name is Miss Hannah and today we are going to be talking about earthworks. So earthworks, also known as land art, environmental art, started to become popular in the 1960s and 70s. It's an artistic movement where artists create site-specific artworks, usually made out of natural materials. So site-specific. That means that the artwork cannot be moved anywhere. It has to be right where it's created for it to make sense and actually function. And the materials they usually made these out of are sticks, rocks, dirt, water, leaves, anything out in nature. Hence the name environmental art. Many of these works were permanent in the area, well, semi-permanent or permanent, where they are created, which made it kind of hard for people to transport them to a museum. And that was the point. The artists who made these works really did not like museums. They weren't fond of the idea that art was created simply to be put in a museum and only things in museums were art. So they rebelled against that by creating these earthworks. So one of the most well-known of these artists was Robert Smithson. His work, Spiral Jetty, was one of the most famous earthworks to date. To make it, he transported rocks and dirt and placed them in the Great Salt Lake as a 1,500-foot spiral-shaped jetty. He made it when the lake's water levels were down, so that as the water levels rose, it would cover his jetty and change it. And as the water levels went back down, you can see the changes that happened to it. Right now, it has a lot of salt buildup in it. It's kind of deteriorating because, as we know, when we put something that's all dirt in something that's water, it kind of wears away over time. Another one of his works was actually at Kent State University on campus. It was called Partially Buried Woodshed, and true to his name, it was a woodshed that was partially buried. Now that woodshed already existed on campus. It was at the very edge, so he bought that property and he partially buried it. This was a way to explore an idea called entropy, or gradual decline into chaos, or decline of order. It's a big theme in many land artists' work. They want to explore how man-made objects being put back into nature are taken back over by nature, and how our impact, and like the impact we have on everything around us. Say, if you have a building that no one's taking care of, what happens to it? It starts to generate, like, get some mold, get some vines growing up the side, and it generally declines from this perfect idea of what a house is or building is to a kind of like chaotic, not safe area to be in. So that was an idea that they really wanted to play with and explore. Another one of these land artists was Anthony Goldsworthy, and I have to look at his name. I always forget and mess up his last name for some reason. It's so easy. Anyway, he's a contemporary artist. That means he's working in the live right now, which is awesome because you can actually follow him and see what he's doing, see what he's creating. So some of the work he does, he primarily works in leaves, rocks, and sticks. As you can see, he arranges these materials in a mesmerizing way. Beautiful color gradients and awesome structures that he makes. And you can see they're materials that you can find in your backyard. So this is accessible for anyone to do, and you should. And actually, we're gonna go outside and take a little trip to see how we can create our own earthworks. So let's go on out there. All right, so we are outside. I've just started on the first example of an earthwork. I'm going to show you what I've been up to. So this is what I have so far. As you can see, I did a star spiral composition. I put the biggest rock in the middle and then kind of went second biggest, third biggest, fourth biggest, kind of to go from big to small for everything. That gives it a nice little gradient effect, except it's kind of hard to find rocks that make that gradient effect, so you kind of have to dig around. I've been looking around for about half an hour. I have all these other contenders here too, things that could have been in the middle. But while I have this here, I'm going to show you kind of the process of what I did. Right here, we have the start of our next one. So for this one, I kind of want to do the same idea, except I don't want to do the arms like that one had. I just want to do circles, concentric circles, or circles one after the other around it. So I'm going to go over here, take my rocks, and clear this little branch. You want to make sure your space is pretty nice and clear while you're doing this. And really just set them and arrange them how you feel is best. Right now, I don't have that many big rocks. I use them all over here. So I might have to do a little bit of a rearranging to what I have over there. But you can see I want this pretty tight. So I'm gonna make mindful decisions, kind of looking at the rocks that I have as to what I want to place next. Ooh, it's a big one. So when you're doing this, yes, it's fun to place rocks around wherever and play around with dirt and whatnot, but I want you to try and be mindful about what you're doing as well, because that's kind of the whole point of earthworks, to be mindful about what you're doing and interacting with nature. So grab a few more rocks, kind of keep putting them around. And when you're doing projects like these, if you're doing them, well, do them at your house, obviously. You wouldn't do this to a neighbor's house. It'd be a issue with whose property you're tampering, so do it at your house. Always make the person taking care of the lawn aware, because say if you were to make this awesome spiral shape in the lawn and someone comes around and mows, you've destroyed their mower. So please, 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 tell your parents, tell whomever is taking care of everything what you're doing. That way we can decrease property damage. I'm gonna keep going. This one it's okay. As you can see, I need more rocks, but I'm kind of gonna do a little window effect here. Put them in between. That needs range to do. As you can see, I'm just moving them around, making sure they're equidistant or the same distance apart. I'm just mindfully placing rocks where they need to be. Again, this is more of a Anthony Goldsberry technique. You can do this with leaves, you can do this with anything really. You can see all around me I have so many sticks. I could arrange sticks, I could arrange leaves. There's an endless possibility of things, really. Alright, so now that you've seen kind of the technique of how we're doing this, some different ideas of what you could do, we're going to take this inside and talk about it. Alright, so now we're back inside. Let's talk about it. So I used the ideas of Anthony Goldsworthy. I'm pretty sure I said it wrong outside, so I apologize. With his arranging rocks and stones. It's a simple enough idea. Arrange them in the spiral star-shaped pattern and the concentric circle rings. I also want to let it take a while and see what nature does to it. I know the area where I put that artwork kind of gets overgrown every once in a while, so I'm interested in the idea of the entropy with that work to see how it'll grow and mature. So I'll probably give you an update in a few weeks on how that is. Now it's your turn. I want you to make your own earthwork. You saw how easy it was for me just picking up stones and rearranging them in another way. And so it doesn't have to be big and fancy like the things Robert Smithson does. But if you want to go for it, go big or go home, by all means do so. But please, as I said outside, get consent to use the area that you want to. I wouldn't be great if you went outside and someone had packed stones all through your yard without you knowing. So let someone know. I would love to see what you guys come up with. So please, please, please send pictures to StarkEnrichmentArt@gmail.com. Get parent permission. And make sure to put your name in it too, so we know whose art we're looking at. And you could be featured on our Facebook page. While we are talking about that, go to our Facebook page and look for more information about enrichment, our enrichment program. It's a really awesome place. We have a bunch of classes, including art. We have dance, drumline, cooking, voice, music, a whole assortment of things that you will find awesome and a great place to find information. So as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your ideas are or any suggestions that you have. I'd love to hear everything. And as always, please, please keep creating, especially right now. Everything's kind of wonky. Creating something helps you release that stress, release some tension that you have, and just have a little bit of fun. And I think right now that's what we need. We need to get outside and have some fun. So like always, have fun and keep creating. Bye.